Hi everyone, you're about to watch an interview with Vino. He actually studied in the Netherlands as a non-EU student and recently started to work as a media editor at a European level international organization. So whoever who is interested to find a job as a non-EU person or who is interested in the media editor job, this is the video to watch. Enjoy! Hi everyone, this is Jin from KR Job in NL. Today it's the first time I'm gonna try to do it in English because we have a not really good Korean speaking guest, but I think it will be also beneficial not only for the Korean watchers but international viewers who also speak English, so it'll be in English. Okay, so today we have Vino here and yeah, could you say hi to the viewers?
Hello.
Yeah.
제 이름 Vino입니다.
Nice, thank you. Okay, that's very nice. Thank you. Okay, so today we want to talk about your journey coming to the Netherlands, studying, and recently you got a job, as I understood.
Yes.
So really want to use this time to talk about it and also get some good tips. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. So, let's start with the first question. I'm actually quite curious what you did before coming to the Netherlands when it comes to education, work.
So before coming to the Netherlands, I studied mass communication to begin with. And what also brought me to the Netherlands was to go for my master's, or to study for my master's. And also while I was studying back home, I was also working. I was working actually in the middle of studying, and afterwards I got enrolled for an internship. I started an internship with a company, and I did the internship for a couple of months, and then I got another job as well after the internship. And I was actually on that job when I got my first invitation to come to the Netherlands for a training. And after the training, I had to apply for my master's to study in the Netherlands. I went back to the job actually after my first training, and then I came back for the master's here in the Netherlands. So I did study mass communication, and for my master's here in the Netherlands, I did a master's program in development studies, basically specializing in human rights, gender, and conflict.
Indeed. Okay, thank you. And just maybe very short, what kind of jobs were they when you were still in your home country?
It's basically communication job. I'm a trained journalist. I was in the communication, the media, on radio, hosting programs, talking to people, talking to politicians, doing interviews, conducting voice pop. Voice pop is like sampling opinions of people, going in the street to ask people about the opinion of maybe something that is very vital to know in the society, or a trending topic. For instance, it could be a government policy that they've just implemented. So you want to know how people feel about it, their opinion about it. So that's basically the job description I was doing back home.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, and of course, after that, you came to the Netherlands to study, and you've touched a bit, but why did you choose the study you did in the Netherlands?
First, my school here in the Netherlands is the number one when it comes to development studies in Europe, the International Institute of Social Studies. It's in The Hague, and it's also part of Erasmus University. So if you're planning to do an MA program in development studies, you basically want to understand how development works, issues of sustainability, you're passionate about climate change and how it relates to development of your country, you should be thinking ISS, the International Institute of Social Studies. So I actually chose it because of the reputation it has, one. And then secondly, I also chose the Netherlands generally because it's a very, very organized society, organized climate to live in. And the effectiveness also in the system is very appealing. That was the impression I got when I came in for my first training here in the Netherlands. I went home and I said, wow, this place is really organized. And I really want to study to understand how the whole organization or how the whole effectiveness will work in the society. So that's why I chose the Netherlands. And for my school, because of the reputation it has.
Yeah, indeed. And I actually studied business, but even from a person who studied business, I heard of ISS. I think because indeed it has the reputation, and also many people from Korea also comes here to do the study.
So I had a lot of Korean classmates. I have also Vietnamese classmates. also from other parts of Asia as well. So yeah, it's really
Very international.
yeah, very international. It's like a melting pot of all nationalities in a way because you meet people from different parts of the world,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine. And of course, you just come here to study. So when you made that decision, you got accepted. Did you have any goals in mind at the time?
My immediate goal when I moved was to make good grades to begin with, because that's very important.
Yep,
And
yep.
that's also one thing about the education system in the Netherlands. You will really study. When I mean study, you will study. So for me at that point, the priority was to make sure I don't get lost in the study by making sure I stand out and I make good grades. Because sometimes it could be overwhelming, maybe depending on how the structure of the curriculum is for the course you chose. But at the same time, if you're able to plan and be strategic with your time as well, you will definitely make it and you will survive. So my immediate goal at that point was to make good grades. And then afterwards, to be able to also get on hands-on skills that can help me to adapt better in the Dutch society. So these are the two top goals. I wouldn't say some people might probably say maybe money inclusive because I mean after study and everything you have to might maybe get a work and earn and have money to settle in and stuff like that. But at that point I was going more for the skills. My grades first and then the skills because those are the two things that I need if the money would flow.
Indeed.
So
And looking back, you already graduated. How did you achieve your goals?
well, the skills, the hands-on skills that I chose helped me. I achieved my goals actually quite in a number of ways, which I will try to highlight here. My goals of good grades were actualized because I studied, and it was during the peak of COVID,
Yeah.
staying behind your computer and studying 9 to 5 and stuff like that. And with the curfew, you don't have anywhere to go to. I'm not even putting on my glasses now because COVID messed up my eyes. So the goals for good grades were achieved. I graduated top, not top, but top 10% in my class. And I'm very proud of it because it wasn't easy despite the COVID-19 and the whole lockdowns. And then for the other goals of getting hands-on skills, I actually started my own company first. But before that as well, I was also providing voiceover services, also getting contacts, networking with people that are in the same industry with me so that I can actually learn and know what is obtainable, especially specifically for the Dutch customers or for the customers that are outside of my initial territory, which was my home country. So because of those networking, I was also able to get those skills and I started my own company offering services, voiceover services as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, the money keeps coming.
Indeed.
The story goes on.
Thank you for the story,
Yeah.
indeed. Okay. And of course, you've been mentioning the study, the money. So it's really after graduation, maybe you've already planned to maybe get a job in the Netherlands. And I'm also curious how you did that. So, for example, when did you really start looking for a job? Was it already while you were studying or maybe after?
While I was studying, I was also looking for a job. I was doing it passively, just passively.
Maybe just apply and see how it goes.
Exactly. And I wasn't looking for more like anything spectacular, job related while I was studying because, of course, if you get a job that needs your full-time commitment,
Yeah, then
it's going to conflict with your study. And at that point, I have the goals of making good grades. So I don't want anything to conflict with it. It was more like also looking for internships because those are areas or those are platforms where you can get the skills that you need to fit into the labor market, the Dutch labor market. So I was looking for internships. I got rejections as well. And I remember I also got one of the internships that really turned things around. And I also learned quite a lot in the process, but it wasn't a paid internship. However, the skill was also very important to me, as much as the money, but the money can come later on, but the skills first. Because it's the skill. The skills are like channels that money can flow in through. So if you don't have those skills to open up that channel, probably money wouldn't flow in. And what would stand you out when it comes to the labor market and expectations from other people that are also competing for the same limited slot or limited space is your skills.
Indeed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And I think you did maybe regarding the bachelor's and the master in some way a bit different. You did like you have more journalism background and did the development
Yeah.
studies. So I was also curious when you were applying for jobs, what kind of job titles were you looking for? What kind of jobs did you apply for?
Yeah. So because I have a very deep communication background in my home country, and the master's I did was in development studies. I think before I answer that question, let me connect what led me in the first place to study the course.
Sure.
So because it's a master's in development studies, when I was a journalist, I'm still a journalist actually till now. When I was back home working, I was asking myself, a lot of times when you look at the news and they say so many things about developing countries or areas that are not so developed as the Western world and stuff like that, I was asking myself, what role can effective communication play in making sure that people understand where the world is moving to and how they can play a role to make sure they're not left out in that movement? So these were the questions I was asking myself. What is the connection between development and communication? And that's what led me to study development studies. And what I was also doing back home is related to development communication. Is the communication channel towards development, enlightening people's mind, and at the same time communicating policies and communicating plans of the government to the people, breaking it down in bits and bits that they will be able to assimilate and understand. So that's what led to the master's itself. And when I started also applying for jobs, I was applying for jobs within communication field. I applied for jobs in agencies that like NGOs, doing things related to development, sustainability, human rights, gender and conflict, and which of course the Netherlands is a place that really prides itself. It's a territory that prides itself in terms of uplifting human rights and throwing in gender equality and sustainability and the fight against climate change. Is a climate that, and it's not far-fetched because of course we know we're below sea level. So if they don't protect the little land that they have, they'll be heading towards the water, I think. Yeah. So I was applying for communication jobs, jobs that are related to communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know indeed. Okay. It really starts with the bachelor to the master's, and then it really connects to the job you applied. And I mean, in my case, but also in your case, Vino, you've been applying as a so-called non-EU student who just graduated. So, I mean, for the people who are non-EU students who wants to apply for a job, what should you know if you want to get a job in the Netherlands?
First of all, I think Google should be your friend in a way because you will get a lot of information about the Dutch labor market and especially information, especially with this kind of skills that is required or that the labor market itself requires. So that way you can prepare yourself better. I think when you arm yourself with that knowledge of the skills that the market needs, you can start strategizing your time, your resources, and yourself as well to adapt those kind of skills. It may not be something that you may have like let me say for instance a first bachelor degree or something in, but it's something that you can take on. We all can learn and unlearn things. And of course, no knowledge is a waste. Whatever you know it already. It's part of you. Nobody's going to take it away. So the first information you need to have when it comes to the Dutch labor market and for you to find your own footing in the labor market itself is the knowledge of the skills that is required in the system.
And in your case, what was it?
In my case, I have a communication background. For me, it was also adopting more of the IT side of communication. The video editing, even maybe software, because I'm also planning to take on software and development very soon. As soon as I'm able to find time, I can take on that as well, because that way it will position you better. You keep on progressing. You don't just remain on one spot. Your skills are evolving, and the more you are taking in more, the more you're making yourself more marketable and more valuable and viable, that if you put out your CV to any company, they see your worth, they see how much investment you've made on yourself over the years, and they know that you're going to be material for them. Video editing, mastering different softwares, audio editing as well. Those are things that when you put it out, it's not just about holding the mic to talk or to interview, but can you also do the tech side, which is also very important. That way it makes you material, it makes you a valuable person for the company.
And I also remember this kind of communication officer more recently also experienced doing a podcast, planning and actually writing text and also doing the podcast interviews. I think that was also quite important.
Yes.
And also, for example, you do live streaming, for example. I think indeed the technical side of that communication is really important.
Yeah, it's very, very important really, because you have to understand with the way the world is moving, where we're moving now and how things are evolving. Technology is advancing, and the more it's advancing, it's changing our ways of communicating. It changes our way of engaging. So it behoves on you as an individual that want to be able to get a job or to get a footing in this evolving for me, in this evolving communication landscape, to acquire these skills that these technologies are bringing up.
Indeed. And for us, it's an extra challenge as a non-EU candidates, because we also need to get a work permit and highly skilled migrant. Can you maybe tell for the people who don't know about highly skilled migrant visa, anything about it?
Well, the highly skilled migrant comes into picture. It's like, of course, it's a visa that you require to stay in the Netherlands to work. So when you are a student, you get a student visa or a student permit. And with a student permit, you are not allowed to work more than a certain number of hours.
Correct, yes.
I think in the Netherlands, in my own case, it was 16 hours per week.
Still is, yeah.
Oh, still is. So you're not allowed to work more than 16 hours. But then when you graduate, the Netherlands has like another visa in place for people that studied here in the Netherlands. They have the ZOKIA. It's called the ZOKIA, the search year visa. So when you get it, it's for 1 year, 12 months. The expectations for giving you that visa is so that you can be able to use it to look for a job. And if at the point before you come to study in the Netherlands, and also while you were studying, you were able to accumulate the skills needed for the market and position yourself in such a way that when you get hold of that 1 year search year visa, you can start actively looking for a job. And because you have those skills, you've armed yourself with those skills, when the job comes, you have the permit. The visa itself, the ZOKIA visa, allows you to work too.
Yeah. And full-time.
And full-time, yes, without any restrictions like the normal student visa. And then afterwards, because you've gotten a job, the employer would have to sponsor you for you to get the highly skilled migrant visa. So the highly skilled migrant visa is a visa that comes into the picture after your search year visa, the ZOKIA, is finished. So it's more like it's a visa recognizing you as someone who is valuable for the labor market, as someone who is valuable to your employer. So your employer is putting a stake on you that we need you, we want you to stay. You have to work for us. Those skills you have to bring them to the table. So that's how it works. You need that highly skilled migrant visa after studies and after your search year to be able to stay back in the Netherlands and work.
Indeed. Thank you for the explanation. I think it will help, especially for the people who don't really understand the Dutch labor market, the students. I mean, this is going to be very valuable information. Okay, thank you.